This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So last session, we were discussing about the Docker commands and all, right? So we're just going to do the Docker imaging starts the Docker imaging in today's session for our project, okay? Even we talked about certain basics of Docker imaging, not even the basics, those are the major options. That's it. So that's the beauty, right? So we talked about Docker, why Docker is famous. It's one of the, so one of the reason its ecosystem is simple, and the major is one of the reason is imaging is simple, okay? So yeah. Now let's try to make some Docker files, but for each and everything. And so we already have some CI files for everything, right? So I'll go to RoboShop project. So I can start with the cart, basically Azure pipelines. So here, what you're doing, you're actually trying to put kind of an artifact, actually sending it to Azure artifacts. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make a Docker image now. Okay, so how do we make some Docker image? You see this, actually you're having the Docker image need of no, so you need a Docker image for Node.js, right? So yeah, so we need to make it. So first let me okay, I'm just going to go to dev.azure.com, or you can use Jenkins system. It's up to you. So which one you want to use, it doesn't really matter. So here I go to the DevOps 53. Now, first of all, first thing I have to do is I have to make a Docker file here. So new file and Docker file. So Docker file is actually telling is what it is telling. So from it's a node image. You can use Node.js basically node and 12 image I'm using. Node.js 12 I think is fine for this. So even we are using some 6 version, you can install RPM. That's okay. So 14 is latest version. Node 12 is something. I remember this guy actually made this code working. Okay. So from Node 12, that's okay. And after that, so what you have to do is you have to copy the file, so which is server.js file, or like let's say I want to run a command and I want to mkdir and I want to say like /app. Okay, mkdir/app. So go to app, and so workdir. The next one is workdir. So yesterday we didn't talk about workdir. Workdir is nothing but CD in Docker file. CD in Docker file is nothing but workdir. So CD to /app, and copy the file. So which is server.js to /app/server.js file, and copy. What is the other file I want to copy here is package.json to /app/package.json file. And after that you run something like so npm install. Okay, so npm install, you run it, and then you're going to run a command which is called as so cmd node. So we better keep it in list like this. So node comma server.js file. So even if you look into the systemd file also, you're doing node and the server.js file, you're doing the full path. So now here I'm just doing that in a simple way. That's it. That's my Docker image. Let's push the code and let's go to pipelines or a card. I just would like to edit this. So I'm just going to comment out the universal artifacts, and even in fact I need to comment out this one, or I'll comment out all these particular parts. So SonarQube is not there, so I will just comment it out. So, and I will go for steps here, and those steps are so Docker image build pull, right? So Docker So docker. Yeah, here is the one. And it is looking for container registry. So which registry it needs to connect? So you require some service connection. So how do you make service connections? You already know, and we made a couple of service connections. You go to the project settings, go to your settings, and you will be having service connections on the left side. So 53, and create a new service connection, which is basically Docker registry. Okay, so make to Docker registry. Next, and your Docker ID, the username. So which is your username, password. Okay, service connection name is a Docker Hub. Okay, so now go back here. So now again search for Docker Hub. So container registry for this one is arcaluru/d53-rs-cart. Okay, rs-cart. It's actually build and push, and so the tags you want to push it is so I want to go with not build ID, so I will just go with the latest. Okay, so just for time being. Okay, so save. All right, and now it is going to run automatically. So because there are some changes to the pipeline code, it builds the Docker image and it pushes to the Docker Hub. Let it make and push. Okay, so now you should be having an image there. So you see this, and your tag you have is the latest tag. All right, so this is how you push the image, and the same Docker file, there is no difference at all. The Docker file, you take it and put it to catalog, no change I think, and put it to user, no change I think. So cd.rs-catalog. And in the Azure pipelines, so now what are all the things I have in Azure pipelines? Over Yeah, so you're just going to have this much, and the rest of the things will be commented. Okay, this is catalog. Okay, so this is fine, and you push it, and the changes will be pushed to and the user lines. And this is user. You push this also. Now let's see, there are my pipelines. Because those are identical and the files are identical, so there is nothing much to do. So yeah, so that is why I'm doing this. Okay, cool. So this is also fine. And you go to, user and catalog is also fine. All right, done. So the next thing is, the next other things is you require a front end. So front end, front end with the space full. If there's any changes, okay, no. And ultimately you're going to comment out all these lines, and you take from here, put it to here, and it is front end. Okay, done. Now where is my Docker file? So first of all, I need to go with my Docker file, new file, Docker file. Okay, so here you're going to make from Nginx image. I'll take Nginx is the one which I want. All I need to do is run and yum rm-rf /var /usr share nginx html. Okay, so then you need to copy. Okay, so static directory to slash usr slash share slash nginx slash html. You copy to that. Okay. So static, and you copy to that. And what next? After you copy it, mostly you need to copy your configuration file. But how do we copy this configuration file? We'll take a look, because this needs to be replaced, right? Okay, so we'll take a look. For now, we'll just leave as only this much. We just want to see only the UI is really working or not. That's it. But functional wise, how to make it work, we'll take a look. Okay, so yeah, that is something we'll see. And so this much. Let's push this. This also makes some image. And Mongo MySQL, we don't bother about that. Payment, yeah. So now payment actually is going to be new file, which is going to be Docker file from Python :3 and run mkdir slash app and work dir slash app and work dir slash app and what dir, you go to the slash app and then you go for copy and payment.py to dot. When you do that, simply shortcut, and payment.ini also you copy there and give that, and rabbit mq.py and then copy requirements.txt file to that. Okay, and then you run pip install -r requirements.txt file. You do that, and finally you come to cmd, and cmd tells is what's this Python. I mean, so this is what you should do. Okay, so this is what this is what you have on the Python. Let's observe the Python status and we'll see. This is failing because we didn't update the Azure pipeline, so we don't want all this stuff to be done now. And so quite simple. Here is front end, then it is payment. Okay, so this is also done. Now let's go through shipping part. And slash. So shipping is actually based on Maven, right? So I will go with the Docker file, and I'll just go for from Maven. Okay, so then copy or like the same thing. So mkdir slash app and run mkdir slash app. Okay, so workdir slash app. Switch to that directory and copy the files, which is so copy the files pom.xml to dot and copy src directory as src. Okay, directory you copy. Okay, done. You copied the files. So now you have to run which is mvn clean and then package, and then you're going to get the package, and you're going to get java comma hyphen jar comma target slash shipping hyphen 1.0.jar file. So this is the output you are going to get actually. Okay, so let's take this, and over here again you no need to really do this. So the first one, let's cancel it so that it will move on to the other one. Okay, this is done. Now you go into the shipping, and this is the one. Let's go to the tags, and you see the size of the image is 472 MB. So which necessarily need not to be this much size. Why? Because um, so that MVN command actually is going to that MVN command is actually kind of um, okay, MVN kind of is going to download a lot of packages, and after downloading those particular packages, that MVN download packages are really not needed. Okay, so we can just take the jar file and it is fine. Okay, so that's where in the Docker build, so there is something called as a multi-Docker build stages will come into picture. Now you cut this into one piece, and you need only the Java jar file. You need to cut this into another piece. So, but how do you do that? So this is one Docker image, and so run maven as so build. Okay, there is something, and from image one more, and I will say I need only Java, and also I'll go for Alpine. So Java Alpine is a very minimal image which will have Java. That's it. Okay, so and you're going to go for copy. So copy from will be there. Or you can just go for Docker multi-stage build. So you are going to write from is equal to 0, or from is equal to name. Copy hyphen from is equal to from build. You need to copy. So what I need to copy, so there is actually going to be /app /target /shipping -1.0.jar file. I want to give /shipping.jar file. You copy that way, and you just remove this also here. Now this way, I'm going to save a lot of my size basically. Now we'll observe what the size difference is coming. But after the new build, you will see. Okay, now we got the latest, new image pushed up. So let's go and see the size basically. So previously it was 450 MB, now it came back to 84 MB. Okay, so sometimes if someone asks you how do you reduce the image sizing, one of the way which you have is multi-stage builds. Okay, so you have seen only 400 MB to reducing to less than 100 MB. Sometimes in some scenarios, okay, a a 5 GB files also will become to less than 100 MBs, because the remaining files are only just to make this particular jar file. Okay, so that's how you'll see a lot of size as well. Okay, one of the key factor when you think about making the images, so one is reducing the size. Another key factor is having no vulnerabilities. If you go to the vulnerabilities here and upgrade to pro, they are telling, but yeah, so usually you should not have any kind of vulnerabilities. Okay, all right, and this about you got the all the different things. So now whether these images might work or might not work, so probably we can so take a look by going into Kubernetes platform. Okay, by going into Kubernetes, so we will be by going into the Kubernetes, we'll be discussing about so how to run the container actually using the image whatever we made it right now. Even though if I run it right now, so there are some changes is needed, and why to make some changes running manually versus Kubernetes again. Okay, I don't really need to run container individually anyhow. So probably we can go in directly into the Kubernetes and we can start playing with the Kubernetes, and any changes which are needed to the imaging, we'll just take care out there. So once we are actually deployed our application, if ensuring that end to end is working, then we will then we will jump on to our application testing once again, so whether it is really working, and again the release strategy basically. Okay, so that is how I wanted to do it. Okay, so I think that's all basically on the imaging part mostly. Okay, so here and there some more options are there, so probably whenever is needed we'll talk about that. So, and also now currently we are actually pushing it to Docker Hub. Then what I actually prefer to do now here is I would prefer to go with Amazon Container Registry. If I go with Amazon Container Registry, so I will get the vulnerability report also. I think I can just show one image. So any one image basically, which I can do it build up manually, and I can show you. So so then we'll close for today's session, and Kubernetes probably will start in next week basically. So I just want to show you this vulnerability report. Elastic Container Registry. Sample is the image name I'm keeping. Now here scan and push. So this guy actually provides the feature out of box. Okay, Amazon will provide that particular feature out of box. You can just use that without any extra cost basically. Well, without any extra cost for scanning. Okay, so I'm just using it. Now I want to push an image to this. So how do I push it? I already turned on my workstation. So for an example, I will go with shipping is already there. So and in fact, this is also not needed actually. So we already have Docker pull, so which is our kaluru slash d53 hyphen shipping is the image. You pull that particular image, d53 shipping colon latest not form. RS hyphen shipping d53 hyphen RS hyphen shipping. You pull that particular image, and that image is I can use that image. I can use and so now if I want to push the images, so first thing what I have to do is I have to first do the Docker login, but the Docker login has to be Amazon ECR. So you can find out those particular steps here. So view push commands. So you can just do this AWS ECR login. You already have AWS credentials to having in your workstation. You can do that. So now what you can do is you can just convert your so the image basically to sample latest. What is the image name I want to put it here is this is the image. I want to scan this image, okay, this one, and now finally just do the Docker push. So now what you did, Docker tagging is actually one image name, you're pointing to another image name. Image is still same, the names tagging are changed. So now I'm using Docker push. So the name of this one is this, and this is being pushed. Now let's go and go here, and you will see one image, and even the scanning is also done. So there are 4 or 0 critical vulnerabilities, which is okay, but there are still high. Even if you consider about upgrading them, you can consider about upgrading them. So if there is an update available, or else you cannot do anything basically. Okay, so even for critical also, if there is no update, you cannot do anything, but you have to be conscious. Decision should be taken whether we should be releasing this application or we should not release this application. So that is what people will, okay, so based on this. So we already talked about CAB calls, right? So change advisory board. So in the CAB calls, these discussions will come. So there are, there are critical bugs. Now there will be all stakeholders who want that particular product to be released, and and who approves that. So they'll be having a discussion, okay, whether to do it or not to do that. And based on that, it will get released. Okay. So this is the one of the report actually we can look in. So now Jedlib is there. Is there any way we can update it? We need to take it out. We need to look it out. So free type in 263, there is a vulnerability. It is pointing to the vulnerability documentation as well, what it can cause and things like that. Okay, so it should be done. So, but yeah, if there is any new version, if there is any new version, we can use that particular upgrade to that version. If the version is update is not available, yeah, we cannot do anything. Okay, so that's the so that is how you get the reports basically. Yeah. So I think mostly that's all on the Docker side. So mostly I mean, in the next week we can jump on to the Kubernetes part. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, so that's all actually from my side for today. So it'll be a short call today, but still, yeah, that's all. Any questions? Okay, all right. If no questions, we'll meet on Monday. So Sunday for US folks. So tomorrow there is no session, and yeah, so we have leftover with only one topic, which is Kubernetes, and as we planned, so mostly will be done by 6th or 5th of March. Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you, and see you on Monday session. Bye. Good day. Good night.